$4.55. That is the national average for a gallon of gas as of May 7, 2026. If you live in California, you're seeing numbers as high as $5.97. In North Carolina, prices in Wake County have surged to $4.92. For most Americans, the reaction is pure fury. Between April 10th and May 10th, the atmosphere at the pump shifted from simple frustration to a full-blown witch hunt. Headlines are flickering with terms like price gouging, state of emergency, and emergency crackdowns. When you see those numbers spinning on the pump, you naturally assume the person owning the station is getting rich off your struggle. But while the world hunts for a villain at the local corner store, they are missing the most critical detail of this 2026 energy crisis. The person behind the counter might be losing just as much as you are. The pressure is coming from the top down. Throughout April and early May, multiple states triggered abnormal market disruption protocols. In Indiana, Attorney General Todd Rokita's office was flooded with over 150 formal price gouging complaints in less than 3 weeks as the state average spiked from 414 to 4. To combat this, Indiana launched in Fuel Watch. This is a real-time surveillance system tracking 4,600 stations across the state. On their map, stations are color-coded, green for dropping prices, and a bright warning red for those raising them. It's a digital scarlet letter designed to force prices down through public shaming and state scrutiny. In Connecticut, Attorney General William Tong didn't just issue warnings, he invoked a statute making it a criminal violation to overcharge for energy resources during this disruption. Tong stated clearly, and I quote, "Overcharging consumers is unacceptable at any time. But during this abnormal market disruption, it is illegal." State watchdogs are now pulling financial records and auditing invoices. They aren't just looking at the price on the sign. They are looking for any station that dared to pad their profit margins during the massive supply shock in April. But here is where the public logic fails. We've all seen it. 3 gas stations at the same intersection, a Shell, a BP, and a Speedway, all raising their prices to the exact same cent at the exact same hour. To the average driver, this looks like a classic case of price fixing or collusion. However, state watchdogs note a different reality. In a hyper-competitive market, price matching is a survival reflex. If Station A doesn't match the price of Station B within minutes, they can lose their entire customer base in a single afternoon. The data tells a surprising story. While you see a price of $4.55 at the pump, the station owner is staring at a wholesale invoice that jumped 30% in just 30 days. Most local stations are franchised or independently owned. They don't set the global price of oil. They simply catch the heat for it. In fact, history shows that gas retailers typically see their profitability decrease when prices spike because wholesale costs rise faster than they can adjust their street prices. The witch hunt is focused on the person at the cash register, but the math proves they aren't the ones siphoning your bank account. Behind the scenes, there is a hidden mechanism, a silent partner taking a massive cut of every single gallon you buy. This partner never touches a drop of oil, yet they make more money only when prices go up. In Part 2, we are going to follow the money. We will reveal how $60 million a day is being drained out of the fuel system by an industry that is completely invisible to the average driver. At the end of Part 1, we mentioned a silent partner, an entity that makes millions off high gas prices without ever owning a pump, drilling a well, or refining a single drop of crude oil. That partner is the credit card industry. When you buy gas, You aren't just paying for the fuel, the taxes, and the station's overhead. You are paying a hidden percentage called a swipe fee. And because this fee is calculated as a percentage of the total transaction averaging around 2.36%, it creates a mathematical trap for both you and the station owner. Let's break down the math. On an average $4-and-40-6 gallon of gas, the credit card swipe fee accounts for 10.5 cents. If you drive a truck and buy diesel at $5-and-60-4 cents, the swipe fee jumps to 13.3 cents per gallon. This means that when gas prices spike, banks and credit card networks automatically take a larger cut, directly eating into the local retailer's cash flow. The station owner is forced to raise the street price just to cover the higher fee levied by the bank. The scale of this wealth transfer is staggering. According to a May 4, 2026 report from the Merchants Payments Coalition, credit card swipe fees on gas and diesel reached $60.9 million per day. That is over $1.8 billion a month, drained directly from the fuel supply chain. As Doug Cantor, General Counsel for the National Association of Convenience Stores, stated in early May, the pain the credit card industry is inflicting on Americans at the gas pump just keeps growing, and the financial reports prove it, driven partly by these inflated fuel transactions. Major card issuers reported massive early-year profit increases, with Visa up 32% and MasterCard up 18%. So, if the banks are taking 10.5 cents per gallon, what is actually left for the local station? Historically, over the 5 years leading up to 2026, retailer gross margins before paying operating expenses averaged just 27.2 cents per gallon. Now imagine you own a gas station, your gross margin is 27 cents. You immediately hand over 10.5 cents to the credit card company. You are left with about 16 cents. Out of that 16 cents, you have to pay your employees, pay your electricity bill to keep the lights and pumps running, pay property taxes, and pay for the maintenance of the underground tanks. By the time the math is done, the local station is often making just 2 or 3 pennies of pure profit per gallon of gas sold. And during a price spike, like the one we saw in April 2026, that tiny profit completely collapses. This is due to a phenomenon called delayed pass-through. When wholesale gasoline prices shoot up, local stations cannot immediately raise their street prices to match. If they raise prices too fast, the state watchdogs turn their station red on the tracking map, and customers simply drive across the street. So, the station owner is forced to absorb the higher wholesale cost up front, operating at a net loss just to keep customers coming through the door, while consumers aim their anger at local stations. Financial analysts see exactly who is winning this game. On May 5, 2026, Fitch Ratings published a critical report highlighting a massive divide in the fuel industry. The report warned that prolonged high oil prices squeezed retail fuel marketers, the people actually selling you the gas, while heavily benefiting what they call pure oil refiners. According to Fitch, pure refiners with benchmark-linked margins are insulated from retail price risks. They sell the fuel at the wholesale level and lock in their profits before the gas ever reaches your city. They are immune to the state investigations, the consumer complaints, and the credit card swipe fees. The system is structurally designed to protect the entities at the very top and the very bottom of the transaction, the refiners producing the gas and the banks processing your payment. The local gas station is just the middleman acting as a tax collector for both of them. But if the refiners are making the real money, does the brand of gas you buy actually matter? Or are you paying a premium for a logo? In Part 3, we will look at the massive $1 price gap in California, uncover the truth about unbranded gasoline, and show you exactly what state watchdogs are secretly advising consumers to do to fight back. If local station owners are getting crushed by wholesale costs and credit card swipe fees, and the massive refineries are the ones posting billion-dollar profits, it forces a critical question. Why do we keep paying premium prices for brand-name gas? In California, state watchdogs uncovered a staggering statistic during the 2026 price surge. The price gap between branded gasoline like Shell or Chevron and unbranded generic gasoline approached, and in some regions exceeded, $1 full per gallon. Let that sink in. $1 extra per gallon, just for the logo on the canopy. Consumers have been conditioned to believe that this premium pays for superior chemical additives that protect their engines. But the state watchdogs explicitly disagree. The California Division of Petroleum Market Oversight issued a public consumer advisory bulletin that completely dismantled this myth. Their official statement reads, "No public studies have shown that gasoline with brand name additives is any better for vehicles than unbranded California gasoline. So why is the branded gas so much more expensive?" It all comes back to the invisible squeeze. Franchised, brand name stations are locked into rigid supply contracts. They are legally required to buy their fuel directly from the corporate refinery, at whatever wholesale price the corporation dictates. They have zero leverage. Independent, unbranded stations, however, can shop around. They buy leftover supply from the open spot market, often purchasing the exact same base fuel from the exact same refinery, just without the branded additives. The corporate refiners use their franchised stations to lock in guaranteed high-margin sales. The local branded station owner isn't charging you $1 more because they want to. They are charging $1 more because the corporate contract leaves them no other choice. This brings us to the current moment. As we move through May 2026, the global supply shock is showing signs of stabilizing. Crude oil has begun to drop, falling back under $100 a barrel. But you've likely noticed that the sign outside your local gas station hasn't changed. The price at the pump is still agonizingly high. In the fuel industry, this is known as the rockets and feathers effect. Prices shoot up like a rocket when a crisis hits, but they float down like a feather when the crisis ends. Consumers immediately point to this as undeniable proof of price gouging. But remember what happened in April, when wholesale costs spiked 30%, station owners were paralyzed. They couldn't raise their street prices fast enough without losing all their customers or triggering a state audit. They operated at a loss, burning through their working capital just to keep the underground tanks full. Now that wholesale prices are finally dropping, the local station holds their street price high for as long as possible. They aren't doing this to buy a yacht. They are doing this to replenish the bank accounts they drained just surviving the previous month. The feather drop is the only way a local station can recoup the heavy losses they sustained during the rocket launch. When you look at the raw data from April and May 2026, the structure of the fuel market becomes crystal clear. The system is rigged, but not by the person standing behind the cash register. The real winners of high gas prices are the credit card networks extracting over $60 million a day in percentage-based swipe fees, and the pure oil refiners who dictate wholesale costs from the top down. The losers are the independent station owners catching the blame, and you, the driver, footing the bill. But you don't have to be a victim of this system. State watchdogs and the data give us 3 clear rules to fight back. First, stop paying for the logo. If state regulators are publicly stating that unbranded gas meets all engine safety requirements, take their advice. Driving past a major brand to fill up at an unbranded station can save you up to $1 a gallon in certain markets. Second, pay in cash. The credit card swipe fee is the second largest operating expense for a gas station. By paying cash, you cut the bank out of the transaction entirely. Many independent stations offer significant cash discounts because it immediately improves their profit margin, passing the savings directly to you. And third, use the state's own tools against the system. If you live in a state like Indiana, use their real-time fuel watch portals. Find the green dots. Reward the stations that are actively lowering their prices with your business. The fuel supply chain is massive, complex, and deeply unfair. But the next time you pull up to the pump and watch those numbers spin, you will know exactly where your money is going. And more importantly, you'll know how to keep a little more of it in your own pocket. Thanks for watching the Cost Pressure Report. Don't forget to subscribe for more data-driven investigations into the systems that control your wallet.